Previously on HVACR videos.
This side's not harvesting, so I bet you... Yeah, but it should have gone off on a... There was no errors. That's what's tripping me out. There was no errors stored in here. So this side's not harvesting now. I can tell that it sounds like the cool vapor valve over here is got a restriction in it because the way it's hissing. So we've got a restricted cool vapor valve. I need to put service gauges on it, but what is going on here? This is an interesting one. Well, we've got two new cool vapor valves, some thermistors, and a dryer. And the customer decided to go ahead and have us fix this machine, so we're going to jump into this. Still got to get rid of this ice though. So we're just turning the recovery machine on. We're ready to start recovering. We'll get the 12 pounds of gas out of it, and then we'll decide whether or not we're going to pull this whole machine down or not. We may or may not, just depending on how difficult it is to get up into there. But the cool vapor valves are back in the far left and back in the far right, so they are kind of tricky to get to. These machines require what they call a 3-point recovery. That's why they have 3 points right here, but you actually don't need to do that. If you go into the machine's information, you can enable all the relays. So I think it's replace control board. No, event log. I have to remember how to get into this. Diagnostics, control board, enable relays. So what it did is it just opened all the solenoid valves, and it allows, you know, everything basically to turn on. You can keep doing that. It'll reset itself about every 10 minutes-ish. So you just got to hit the enable relays button again, and then that way you don't have to do a 2-point or 3-point recovery on this guy. We are just about recovered. I went ahead and shut off the water to the water filter housing, and then, because we're gonna pull this drain pan to make it easier to work on this guy, we still have the full charge. It's technically supposed to be 12 pounds, 12 and a half pounds. So technically it's like 6 ounces shy, but we still got some residual liquid refrigerant that's gonna take a while to boil off. So, but we're looking good. Oh, and in fact, when I shut down the machine and change it over, if I hit start stop and then go ahead and do self purge and then hit start, you'll probably see that increase. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, we have the full charge in this guy, so that's a good sign, like I said. And now we need to get rid of all the recovery equipment, and then we need to make a decision on how we're going to fix this, whether or not we're going to pull the whole machine down or not. We got to figure that out. In order to get to this cool vapor valve, we got to get back behind there. It's that valve in the back, which is going to be tight from this access. There's not a whole lot of room. I mean, I could shimmy up back there. I really think it's going to be easier to pull this machine down. There's a union on the drain because I put that on there. There's plenty of conduit to pull the machine forward and be able to unhook it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look into cutting that line set below the roof line. It's gonna be kind of tight because you see that water line right there, but I think we can get it because we've got some room here. We should be able to slide it straight out. And then it'll be so much easier just putting this ice machine on a cart, brazing in those valves. You gotta worry about this plastic drain pan and the foam insulation back here, so. So I need to get back behind here and do the, sorry, I don't mean to kick you. I need the pliers. Did you already, oh, did I leave them up here? What did I do with the channel locks?
Set them right there for you.
Yeah, they're here. I just had them. I left them up here probably. No? Oh yeah. I got to get that union loose to the drain. We are disconnected right there. We are recovered, obviously. We got the thermostat wire disconnected. We took pictures. It's just kind of shoved up here for now. We're going to shift it over. I've got the drain unhooked, but we still have electrical power and a water line. We're going to slide it forward and hopefully make it easier to get to those. That's the plan, at least, because we got to, you see, like this is kind of right in the way, but we got room to shift it because there was a lone piece of insulation right there that wasn't being used. So we'll just shift it left, slide it forward, and then disconnect the last two things. All right, we got it outside. So I was able to disconnect the water line, just leave it on. We had a union on the drain line, so that was awesome. And we're changing this cool vapor valve right here. Got two new ones. We're changing the liquid line filter dryer. And then on this side, we're changing this cool vapor valve. So you can see why I've done them in place, but it was easier just to go ahead and pull this thing out. And then we're gonna change the thermistors too. I got all new thermistors for it. All right, we got a solenoid magnet put onto this guy. Now we have to go back in with the OEM parts, and these are the funky Danfoss valves that have the copper coated steel on the inside. So the brazing process is different. What you do is, the way that I do it is put the fitting on there if you can get it on there, heat it up over here, get the solder liquefied over here, then bring your torch to the stainless steel and it'll pull the solder in. That's how I braze them in, but we got to watch this back wall. So we got solenoid magnet on, we got nitrogen flowing through, so that way we're actually purging through the system and we're good to go. So we're gonna get brazing on this guy. Scary because I don't see anything stuck in the strainer. Yeah. We know our charge was good, so we're gonna set that guy there. We're gonna braze in the other one. Now they say you don't have to worry about protecting these valves, but I don't buy that, and I'm still gonna protect it with some heat blocking compound. Because Danfoss says you don't have to. I think Manitowoc tells you to wrap it though still. So this one's going to be tricky because we got to let the weight hopefully push it in, or we're going to have to tap it in because this is barely in. This one's down nice and good. So again, these things are tricky, but the fact that we have existing solder on there is a good thing because that solder will kind of pre-melt for us. Okay, we're going to do the bottom one first. So again, we're going to probably melt a little insulation here. We're heating the existing solder first, getting it to liquefy, then we're going to pull it up into the valve. It's kind of tricky. And I need a wet towel run down this side, so hold this right here. Up, get the solder to flow into it. All the way around the valve, and then heat it up into here. Get it to pull in. These things are not fun to do, so just gotta make sure that it's getting all the way up in there, around the backside. Okay, so we got solder there. Now this is the tricky one. We gotta manipulate this one. We're gonna need a wrench. And this guy is going to move on us. See, it's already moved. How am I going to do this? So it's moved. Do we have a dry towel? Do we have a dry one? that to push in, which is going to be tricky. So what I need to do careful, it's hot. We're going to get it hot, copper. I'm going to try to push it in if I can, hopefully. Come over here and hold the back of this machine. There you go. There we go. It's going in. Yep. Okay. Okay, so we're going to get the solder liquefied again. It's all nice and liquefied, and now we're going to pull it into the fitting. Pull it into the fitting. And that should be good. Pull that guy off. That guy over there. Let me inspect it. As long as it looks good, we'll cool it off and then move on to the next guy.
Okay. Ugly as fudge, because none of these are going to be perfect, but it's sealed.
Which looks good to me.
Now we got to get that one out. So we're unsweating it right now. We got towels in there trying to protect everything we can, try not to burn wires. There we go. That guy's off. And then now we're going to focus on getting the new one in. All right, this one is really difficult and there's no real good filming angles, but the point that we're going to do is we're going to heat this existing solder up till it liquefies. We're going to bend the solder rod, get it in there, and then draw the heat up. And then this one is the easy one, but we got to kind of push it in when this one goes on. So that's good, man. I like it. So I had told Will that I was going to give him the hard one, and I took the easy one. I think mine was harder than his. He got that pretty good. So again, it's not, you're never going to see it like cup the joint, you know, and make that little cap. You're not going to see that because it's flared stainless steel. So you just got to make sure that it sucks in. That's the biggest thing. So now we're going to redo everything. We're going to inspect it, and then we're going to change this filter dryer. You know that I love using Sporlan dryers, right? Catch-alls, but there is a significance to this Danfoss dryer. It has a double screen on it. When they have them spec'd specifically, so this isn't an off-the-shelf, and it's got that double screen, and it has to do with the backflow sometimes that can happen. So that's why you want to have the double screen on this guy. So we're going to get this guy put on, and then hopefully get the machine put back up. And it's not going to look pretty. Don't stress about that. It's upside down, you know, you can only do so much of these things. We're also being very careful because we've got electrical circuit boards, everything back behind that. It's good to me. You got plenty of solder, like it's beating. That's okay. I'll get it up there.
Got it?
Yeah. Right. Ooh, hold on. Let me get a different towel. That was a little hot on my hands. Heat it up. Come on. There we go. That's in. There we go. Got plenty of solder now. Just on the back side, out. There you go. Just get that solder to pull down. There you go. I like it, man. Looks great. Again, we're not going to win a picture perfect party, but it's functional and it works. That's all that matters. Last but not least, we're going to go ahead and change the thermistors. So we're changing all of them because it's so much easier. But I know for sure the 2 evap thermistors are bad. Come around here. But getting these things changed in them when it's installed is such a nightmare. So we have it out, we're changing them. Now these thermistors are easy for us to show. You see these little clips? Those retainers are so difficult to get to the back over here. Like, it's a nightmare. So they're a pain. If you ever get in here, do them when you're in here. You know, this is much easier this way. All right, we're getting ready to go back in. They were supposed to remove all this ice, so we had them grab what they needed. They didn't. We're gonna go ahead and put the bin in, but all this ice has to be melted and burned because there's stuff falling in it from us moving everything. So they got a big chunk of it out, but still there's a lot of ice in there. So we'll melt that and get it taken care of once we get the vacuum pump running. You can see, you know, you got to get up and over, and it's a nightmare. So that's why we pulled the machine down to do this work. But we're just about hooked up now, and then we're going to pull the evacuation. All right, again, we're doing the enable relays. We've got the vacuum pump on. I've got this just to kind of baffle some of the oil vapor that'll come out. We're going to be sanitizing this machine anyway, so I'm not worried about that. But yeah, we're good. We're gonna let this thing make sure it pulls down into a sub-micron level, and then we're gonna go take lunch and let the vacuum pump run for a bit. And we are pulling down now. It's about 8,000 microns and still dropping. So we're doing a 2 hose pull. So like I said, we're gonna go do lunch, and then when we get back, we're gonna run some sanitizer in both machines and then start getting rid of this ice, and then we'll sanitize the bin when we're all done with that. All right, this micron gauge is not accurate. It's like, it reads weird. Yeah, it's like the check valve's messing it up, but it's time to charge this guy. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and open this guy right here. I think I gotta open this down here, yeah. Okay. We're going to put new refrigerant in this guy. So that's closed, that's closed. We're purged. And we are gonna dump into the receiver, which is the top one we're hooked up to. And we're gonna put 12 pounds, 200 ounces basically is what we're gonna put in there. So we can make it easy just by going to units, changing it to ounces. Whoops. There you go. Zero it out. There we go. And we can go ahead and dump it in the high side. It's going directly into the receiver. We'll let it take as much as it can. And then once it takes what it can, then we're gonna start assembling it, and we can turn it on if we have to finish charging it. It was kind of struggling to take the refrigerant, so what I did, we have the condensing unit on the roof turned off, so I just enabled the relays, which opened all the valves, and we're dumping the gas in there now. So we're looking for 200 ounces. All right, and I turned it on, so it's gonna start to make ice, and we're just charging it, to be honest with you right now. Okay, so we're gonna turn this one off, and we're gonna go ahead and put this one into a wash mode. And we're gonna let it purge, then we'll put some sanitizer in it. Will's just about done clearing out the bin. And I'm gonna continue charging this guy. Here we are, 200 ounces. Perfect. So we've got the full charge in this guy. We've got sanitizer in this one right here. We didn't touch that one, but we put sanitizer in it anyways. We're just about done with this. We ran sanitizer all throughout the bin. And then now I'm gonna watch this one make a batch of ice because I started it in the freeze to charge it anyways. So we're gonna watch it make a batch of ice, then we'll run sanitizer through this one, and we'll burn the ice that it drops. It is almost there. We got a good, nice, even pattern of ice on both sides. We're just waiting for it. It's gonna get ready to harvest here soon. There we go. Now we just need to actually make sure that the ice drops off. So the pressures are looking good. That higher suction pressure is a really good sign. And then now, we just need to make sure that the ice falls off of both sides. It probably could go a tiny bit thicker, but we'll see. This side's already releasing. See the vacuum being broken, and it's gonna get ready to fall off right now. And then this side looks like it's releasing too. And then the right side is releasing, and it's gonna drop. It's dragging a little bit, but I think we need to thicken it up just a little bit. But yeah, I'm super happy with that. Much better than what it was doing before. Bam. We've got a working ice machine now. We'll go ahead and burn that ice, and we're gonna run some sanitizer through this guy. And here we go for another harvest before I leave. So both machines are back on and running. We've seen sanitizer through both. The bin's sanitized. They are back up and running. We're just gonna watch this guy make ice one more time.
can see the vacuums being broken on the left-hand side. That's the harvest assist pump that's helping that to happen. It can happen without the harvest assist pump too. There goes the right side. So the ice is, being released from the grid via the cool vapor valves that we replaced behind there that run cool vapor off the top of the receiver through that, and it's a little bit less intensive than hot gas. So now we just gotta wait. Now the right side kind of runs a little bit slow. This evaporator is not in the greatest of shape, but I have confidence that it'll fall. Same thing on the left. The left. And there goes the right. All right. So we are good to go. Customer's gonna be super happy they got a working ice machine again. So they've been surviving off of this one right here. So all good. We're gonna give the customer the keys and tell them to keep an eye on it.
All right. Want to cover a really important point right now for the few people that are actually going to make it to the end of this video. These are stainless steel valves that have a copper coating on the inside. You are not supposed to use 56% Silphos on these. You can, but you don't have to. If it was stainless steel on the inside and we were doing a stainless to copper connection, you would need to use 56% or 40, whatever, just a high silver bearing content, right, on the solder. I used 15% Silphos on there. There's no reason to put flux when you're using Silphos because the phosphorus that's in the silver or in the 15% Silphos is a fluxing agent already, okay? So these are meant to be brazed in with 15% Silphos. So because they were done that way from the factory, I don't have very good luck mixing 56% with 15%. It's just, I don't know, I just don't have good luck with it. So I prefer to go back in with 15%. Now, if I had a clean piece of copper and it was my choice, I would probably just go ahead and silver solder these things in and be done with it with 56%. That's just how I roll. I know there's different solders. I know people like using, the Stay-Brite 8 and stuff like that. I don't, okay? That's just my preference. To each their own. You want to use something different, good, whatever, do your thing. But I think it's very important to understand that just because these are stainless steel on the outside doesn't mean that you need to use high silver bearing content solder on them, okay? So that's really important. The next thing is in each one of these is a strainer. Now I ripped the strainer out of this one. This is the strainer material, okay? The one over here is pretty dirty, but I still think that there's something stuck inside one of these valves that was causing it not to work properly and to make the loud noise when they were, bypassing basically. So these are cool vapor valves. It's similar to hot gas defrost, but it's not coming from the discharge line. It's the cool refrigerant vapor coming off the top of the receiver. So there's just an extra port on the top of the receiver, goes into this valve, and then it dumps into the suction line. Manitowoc chose to use cool vapor defrost on these things. It's been their design since they came out with them in like 2000 and early 2000s. I think it's like 2002 or something like that is when they came out with the CVD machine. It's not their invention. I believe one of the big supermarket manufacturers, maybe Hussmann or someone, had originally come out with the cool vapor defrost. But yeah, anyways, that's a whole nother thing. So 15% Silphos is all that you need on these. The brazing process, like I said, is different. You heat up the copper, you apply the solder on the copper, and then you draw it into the joint, okay? That's the way that you do these guys. Protect your valves. I know Danfoss says on their TXVs you don't need to protect them. I don't care. I still protect them. So just always protect those things just to make sure. Don't overheat them, and you'll be good to go. So we went through the process. We made a decision on this one to go ahead and pull the machine down. I've changed a lot of these machines, changing the cool vapor valves, and it's always a pain in the butt to get up into there, to get into the machine. It's never very convenient. So in this situation, I had 2 people with me. I quoted it for 2 people. It was a fairly easy job. Oh, excuse me. Oh. If I made you yawn, let me know in the comments. But it was a fairly easy job when I pulled the machine down, okay? We were able to just take it outside, do all of our work outside, put everything back together, bring the machine back in, braze in the refrigerant lines, and call it a day. So all was well. Machine is making ice. Now, you know, I talked to the customer and I told them that the machine, you know, is an older machine. It's not that old, but these machines don't have a very long shelf life. You're not getting 20 years out of them. You're just not, okay? So, you know, I gave them options. Hey, do you want to replace this machine? Do you want to repair this machine? They chose repair. In my opinion, you know, the evaporators are in pretty bad shape. You know, they look like the nickel plating is starting to tarnish, like have like a weird color to it. That can happen when people use the wrong cleaners, but trust me, we haven't been using the wrong cleaners on this machine. We've been the only people cleaning it. It's just an older machine. It's not doing the greatest. I believe that has a lot to do with why that right side evaporator is just going a little bit slower than the left side. But other than that, the machines are working. We've already followed up the next day, making sure everything was good. Customers happy. I'm happy we got some operating machines, and that's it. So thanks so very much for watching and for making it to the end of the video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you want to do me a favor, share it. If you like a video, if you like the channel, share it with your friends. Help bring other people to the platform. I'd really, really appreciate that. If you want to support the channel, there's a couple different ways to do so, but the easiest way to support this channel is literally just watch the videos from beginning to end. Doesn't cost you a thing, just a little bit of your time. That really is the easiest way. You can also support the channel via PayPal, Patreon, or YouTube channel memberships. Those are all monthly commitments that you make. There's links in the show notes of the video. You can also go to my website, hvacrvideos.com. We have merchandise available, hats, beanies, sweatshirts. You see all the stuff back there. Last but not least, TrueTechTools.com. You see any of the cool field piece stuff that I'm using in my videos, you like the vacuum pump, the recovery machine, the gauges, what be it, go to TrueTechTools.com and use my offer code BIGPICTURE at checkout. If you use my offer code, majority of the items on their website, you'll get an 8% discount, and then I get a small commission from that. So another great way to help support the channel. Again, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate you. Last but not least, if you follow me on other social media platforms, great. If you don't, I'm available on pretty much all the major platforms under HVACR videos. Easy as that. No underscores, no, you know, any weird stuff. Just HVACR videos, one word. Find me on most of the social media platforms. Again, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate you, and we will catch you on the next one.